What is going on, everybody? Sorry about that. Just like a minute or two late. Just getting a few things squared away. My wife just got home. Just wanted to make sure she was set up with some food. Like I said earlier, she had some surgery done on her mouth, so it's just had to get her some soft food. And sorry if you can hear the garbage trucks outside, but it is what it is. This is United versus everybody. I am your host Sean, and we are back tonight with just a little bit of a Man United news roundup. Got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we were here earlier today. We did our pre-match preview of tomorrow's Europa League clash against Real Sociedad. So go check that out as well if you weren't able to catch that preview. We also talked a little bit about some of the news, but we're going to finish that up today and see what's going on. Let's see what everyone's saying, everybody. Hakuna Matata in the chat. How are we doing tonight? No worries. Box, as always, good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. I love the thumbnail. You know, I do take a little bit of pride in my thumbnails. It does a lot of work. Coming up with the notes for these takes like 5 minutes. Making the thumbnails, that's like an hour-long process. So I appreciate the love for the thumbnail. But we're going to dive into some news. I got a little bit of stuff to talk about from Ruben Amorim's presser today. Obviously, he did that presser after we did our preview this morning. So a little bit of update. Some of it we already knew, some of it a little interesting. So we're going to talk about that. A little bit of transfer stuff to talk about. And then the big news, obviously, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, is concerning Antony, his agent, and Amorim. So AAA going on. So we'll dive into that. So hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. We are on the road to 3K. I'd love to get to 3K. By the time the next January transfer window rolls around, I think we can do it. So like the video, share it, do whatever you got to do. Post it on the bathroom stall if it gets people. Honestly, I wrote it on the if you go to the football museum in Manchester, there's a big chalkboard where like little kids can do. I just wrote United versus everybody on the chalkboard while I was there because why not? But and then check the memberships if you want to learn more about how you can get involved in the channel, whether that's scout report suggestions or topics for videos. As you know, when we do get a little bit of a break, we do try to do some unique videos like the one I did yesterday about Cheeto. We did one the other day about the Glazer ownership. You guys go check that one out as well. Amidst all the protests and whatnot, it could be a good reminder to get your Glazer hate up. So go check out that one. And then we did one a couple weeks ago about Ruben Amorim. You know, is he in over his head? Is he doing just fine? Does he deserve more time? Go check out all those videos. I love doing those fun videos. So let's get stuck in with the news. Let's see what everyone's doing. Justin, my guy. I tried to call you earlier, man. You have to let me know if you guys need anybody tomorrow night. Box says, unfortunate result, but PSG showed they're the real deal. Absolutely dominated the supposed best team in the world. Made them look like Plymouth. I mean, if they made them look like Plymouth, then they might have knocked them out because we know Plymouth knocked out Liverpool. Yeah, I did watch I don't know if you guys watched Champions League. I did just get done watching that a little bit ago. And honestly, yeah, Liverpool squeezed one out. They capitalized on some shit defending at the last second with a substitute. But for the most, up until that point, Liverpool literally had one shot to PSG's like 25 or something. And Liverpool didn't have a single shot on target. And I think PSG had like 7 or 8 by the time stoppage time rolled around. And it was literally just sit back and counterattack, which for all the complaining that Arne Slot wants to deflect and put onto other managers, other sides that he faces, Liverpool have been playing hoof it and run counterattack football for 9 years under Klopp. They're not doing anything different under Arne Slot. So that fucking hypocrite can get two-footed for all I care if he wants to complain because he does the exact same thing. So big up, Danny B. Good to see you, man. We are just kind of kicking off. We started with a little bit of Liverpool hate, even though they won. But it's always fun to point out the hypocrisy with other managers. He's already going full, like, Klopp and Mourinho, Arne Slot. If you guys saw the stuff going on this week about some of the complaints he made, why he picked up a ban, I think, for some remarks he made to a referee, something about, like, if we lose the league, I'm going to blame you or something. Like, how big of a whiny, bald little... He does look like a baby, too, with his bald ass. If you have to be. What an absolute ass. Danny says, Juan Jimenez, yep, we're getting there, man. We are jumping right in. So just let me get through some of these chats real quick. Danny says, watch them against Boca the other night. He played right back. Nice. It's good to have some versatility. Justin says, still waiting to hear back from our guy about tomorrow night. I was out with my boss all day training. Yeah. Well, you let me know. You know I stay ready. So Been working out the legs all week, man. Got the calf raises, got the lunges, got the squats, got the flutter kicks. I got it all, dude. I got my elastic band out to work on these hip flexors. Your boy stays ready, man. He was born ready. Danny says long ball slot. Yeah, he freaking absolutely is. Like, the moment when he complained about that the other month, I just started laughing, man. It was ridiculous. Box says that Kvara upside was a heel and Kanate wasn't sent off too. Very fortunate. Yeah, it should have been a foul. And it definitely should have been a red card to Kanate. Liverpool got a little lucky there. So Robert Reed, welcome, man. Robert, good to see you, man. We haven't even really started yet. Just going through the chat. You guys are lighting it up. Box says they couldn't contain Kvara, Due, Barcola, Dembe. Dude, Kvara Donna has got to be one of the best forwards I've seen in a while. He is dangerous every time he gets on the ball. If PSG end up selling him and he goes to like Barcelona or Real Madrid or something, they're gonna make so much money on him. But big up everybody. All right, let's start with some transfer news because let me bring back Danny's comment while we talk about this guy. So we are talking a bit of transfer news. Now, this is coming from a couple different sources. A lot of it is smaller South American sources. So again, I'm not trying to say it's a grain of salt. Again, if you guys are new to YouTube, if you're new to fan content, you know we talk about the news. I tend to try to filter out sources that I know that I'm like, nah, you're full of crap. Like for Calles, I don't believe anymore. Obviously, Samuel Butthurt's can do one things, but we've got a couple of similar reports coming from a lot of different sources tonight, and they're not just like citing each other. Sometimes you'll get someone like, oh, this person said this thing, but it was separate people are saying the same thing. But this is apparently regarding a young 18-year-old center back, plays for Rosario Central, and his name is Juan Jimenez. Apparently, Manchester United are in formal negotiations with Rosario Central to sign Jimenez. This is coming from Lucas Calatroni. It's coming from Ariel Pochile and Ali Gerbaudo. All three are different journos. So that first little bit's coming from Calatrone. And then Porchile says the sale of Juan Jimenez to a European club is practically agreed. Nothing has been signed yet, but there is a verbal agreement. Details are still to be worked out. So didn't name United by name like Calatrone did. But then we go on to Ali Gerbaudo with Radio La Red, claims that United are in for Jimenez, but that the transfer, even though we could agree to that transfer now, like the other guy said, maybe a verbal agreement, 18-year-old wouldn't complete his move until January. And so I think his current contract is actually up in the December of next year as well. So possibility of even just him letting that contract run out and us kind of getting him for free if in fact we are in form. Now, as Danny says, Jimenez is very highly rated. He kind of falls in line with the young South American talent that we've been looking at recently. Also, like Diego Leon, we've been linked to a lot of other players recently as well from South America. Last time Suano is another one. Jimenez. Now, I don't know a ton about Juan Jimenez, but again, a couple different sources coming out with the same bit of news tonight. So it's going to be interesting. But I do like, if this is true, again, what it represents in terms of what United are trying to do right now. I like looking for these young players, trying to find the next big gem, trying to uncover the next gem. So it sounds like Danny said if he's played right back, it sounds like he's pretty versatile as well. I can actually go on SofaScore right now and see what we got here. This is what we get to do here live. SofaScore is great. If you guys ever wonder where I get some of my stats and stuff, SofaScore is really good. It's where I look at a lot of things like where players rank in their given leagues when it comes to certain metrics. SofaScore's got really good heat maps and whatnot. It shows like form, average position on the pitch and stuff for each match. Very, very, very good source. And then, of course, FBref is another one that I've used. So this guy, still just 18, played a lot of matches last year, scored a goal last year, really good, got an assist as well, created some chances, really good defending-wise averages. 1.5 interceptions per game, 2.1 tackles per game, 4.2 ball recoveries per game, 3.1 clearances. Those are impressive numbers for a young player. So very, very good. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on this one, but that is Juan Jimenez, Rosario Central. If you guys have any questions, direct them to Danny B, because I guarantee he's going to know more about this kid than I do. But Danny B says, I talk about this kid since under 17 World Cup. He's better than Antony. I remember Antony. Yeah. See, so don't even listen to me. Let's all listen to Danny because he's filling us in here. Danny says he's captain Argentina's under 20s. See, and that's good because that's what I like about like someone like Ruben Neves or something, or even like a Hayden Hackney who was captain Middlesbrough, even though he's like 22. Like these players are doing so well at such a young age. They show a lot of that leadership, a lot of that mentality. Captain's armband, whether you're club captain or whether you're, it doesn't just go to the player who's the best on the ball. Like it's the player who's got that captain mentality. But as Bach says, sounds good. Started 15 matches last year in their league, played 17. So very, very excited about him. If we get some more rumors coming in, I might do a little bit of a scout report on him just to kind of flesh this out a little bit more. But that is some of the bigger transfer news coming out today. He's got about 25 senior games since Danny. Nice. Nice. Box says sign him up. Yeah, that's why I got the emoji in there for the members, the little contract emoji with the pen and the contract. Like sign him up. That's what that is. Red Devil United, good to see you. Welcome. How are you doing? Hope everyone is doing well. Appreciate everybody stopping by tonight, getting involved in the chat. You guys know oh, is this Rich? Rich, is it you have a new name, man? You having a little bit of a split personality or what's going on here? Let me know. Lionhearts is on time. You are on time, Lionhearts. All you really missed was us laughing at Arne Slot a little bit, even though they won, but they still played like crap. And you guys know that if United had put up the numbers that Liverpool put up like what, 2 shots, 1 on target compared to like 2 dozen for PSG, it'd be talked about in the media for like a week. But Rich, I did not know that you changed your name, man. Well, good to see you if that is indeed Rich. So that's a bit, we've got a little bit of transfer news-ish. So word on the street coming from Simon Stone is that Benfica want to bring Victor Lindelof back to the club when he becomes a free agent this summer. And I remember we signed Lindelof from Benfica under Jose Mourinho. I think that was ahead of the 17-18 season, back when Lindelof did not have any hair. If you remember that, he was like bald. So again, I say transfer news-ish because it's not really transfer. He's going to be leaving for free. So, but sounds like it makes sense. Sounds like a return would be good in the cards. Maybe, similar, like maybe Eriksson can go back to Ajax, but big up. Bach says, I'm confident in PSG winning next week. Well, they need to do something in front of goal because Kvaradona and Dembele, like, they were getting into good positions. But again, Slot, the hypocrite, decides he wants to play like a low block of 6 people in the box at all times. So it was hard to get in there. So they really needed a striker on the pitch, I think. I think they waited a little too long to bring on Gonçalo Ramos. But then again, I don't think Gonçalo Ramos is that great. He looked really good at Benfica, and I think Benfica kind of pulled PSG's pants down a little bit. I would admit I wanted him when he was at Benfica. He just has not done super, super great. I mean, when they get Gonçalo Ramos, when they get Kolo Muani all at the same time, obviously it's going to be hard. But I think like us when we played what was that first half in the Europa League, I want to say, where we didn't have any strikers on the pitch, and then we were actually creating chances that didn't fall to anybody because there was no true number 9. I think that's what PSG are suffering from now. Dembele has done well domestically, filling in that role, but you need to have a striker. You need to have someone who's going to be in those positions. So, in other news, we talked a little bit about this morning, so we can finish up talking about tonight if anyone's got other thoughts on it. But I saw Chris Wheeler kind of double down today regarding Kobbie Mainoo's wage demands, or I say alleged wage demands. Now you remember Chris Wheeler is the one who came out with this arbitrary $200K a week demand. I think it was last month or the month before, it could have been January, regarding Kobbie Mainoo's new contract. And now he's decided to lower it, but apparently he's in the know. So it's $180K a week now is what Kobbie Mainoo is demanding. We talked a little bit about this morning, like I said. Again, I find this hard to believe. I just do. Again, I don't have any sources. I don't know why people are soaking up what Chris Wheeler is putting down, but I find it hard to believe that he's going to, after just 1 year of first team football, being injured for quite a bit of it too, I might add. And I'm counting even after he got fit back last November. I think it was like around Thanksgiving he first started playing last season. And he's been injured a lot this season. I don't know where this claim was that Kobbie Mainoo apparently thinks that he's worth $180K a week. Not only do I not buy that, I think it's probably going to be around half that, if anything, maybe 100 tops with bonuses. Um, but again, it would fly in the face of what we're trying to do right now. Trying to keep people hungry, trying to get a handle on the wages. I mean, you give them 180K a week. What the next step is? What, 250K a week, 300K a week in like 2 years? Um, I just, and then it's like if he does well in 2 years, he's gonna want a pay bump. If he doesn't do well, then we're wasting 180K a week on a. It's not. It doesn't make sense when you think about it from that. So I'm like, what is that coming from? I have no idea. Jay says, I don't know what it is about Adam Morton, but Angelo Stiller would be a good shout. Yeah, Stiller's getting a lot of praise right now. Obviously, he had a really good match the other day. I think their director at Stuttgart came out and said, like, now there's no way he's leaving. I like Angelo Stiller a lot. There's a lot of really good young midfielders out there. Hackney's another one, like we talked about many times. You guys know I'm on permanent Arden Yashari watch now at Club Brugge. If you want a good deep line playmaker who's able to also get up the pitch, exactly what we need in the pivot, Arden Yashari is probably the guy to go get. You get Arden Yashari and like Angel Gomez to play in one of those number 10s, your spine is looking really good all of a sudden. And then if you go get a left-footed center back to kind of make up for Licha, like a Valentin Gomez or any of the other left-sided center backs that you can find in the description, the video that's in the description, I think that we're doing pretty well. Liner says, I smell BS from Mr. Wheeler Dealer. I just like, it's just such a random arbitrary number. Like, I don't get it. I mean, next week he's going to be like, well, Collier is going to want, 80K. Like, what is it? Like, where are you getting this, man? Danny says, I like Yashari, Friendrip. Yeah, I remember we were linked with Friendrip a little bit in the summer. A lot of good player. Bologna have another player out there. Oh, Ferguson, the Scottish midfielder. I like Ferguson a lot as well. Pretty good, all around good midfielder. There's a lot of good midfielders around there. If you guys just look around a little bit, you'll find them all over the place. Lionheart says, what does that guy always say? Fake news. Yeah. So I don't know where Wheeler's getting it. You guys let me know what you think. Let's say hypothetically that was the case, and we did give Kobbie Mainoo. Let's say he was demanding 180K a week. Would you do that? Would you give him 180K a week? What if he says, I want 180K a week, or I'm walking? Like, what is his contract? Is his contract up in the summer? I probably should have looked at that up. Let me see. We're doing this live because that's how we roll. If you guys know, let me know. So I don't waste anyone's time. I just can't remember off the top of my head when his contract is up. Now he's got several years left on his contract. So yeah. So if, let's say he's like, I want 180K, then you know what? Honestly, if he's digging his heels in on 180K a week when he's probably worth maybe half that tops, bye. See you later. Sorry, it is what it is, man. It's not about the money at that point. It's about the attitude, if that's the case. And again, another reason why I don't buy it is we know that Kobbie Mainoo is not like this. We know he's just not like this. So it is what it is. Box says no deal. LOL. Yep. Bye. See you later. Jay says 80, 90K at least, but I wouldn't blame him if Mount is on 250K. Well, Mount was already established. Now he was established injury prone crap, but he was still established. So, and again, the Mount thing is just an exercise in just stupidity in terms of that whole thing. Whether it was the scouting, the recruitment, the medical assessment, just the 7 shirt, the wages, the price, the fact that he was entering the final year of his contract. Close your eyes, throw a dart, and hit any one of those reasons, and it was a bad signing, let alone all of those reasons together. Like, it doesn't make sense. So, but at the end of the day, I don't think at that point, and again, I don't think Kobbie would look at it that way, but I hear what you're saying. Like, any player in the squad could sit there when they want to get a new contract and then say, well, Mason Mount, and then what are we going to do? Just bend over backwards? The point is, we should be moving Mount on at any point, maybe like a loan with an option like we did with Rashford, maybe send him to like Newcastle or like West Ham or something. And I think those would be good options for him, personally. But and he says the kid Macau at Lille looks good too. Interesting. I will write it down. Danny, you know I always got time for your scouting reports, my friend. Let me open up my notes app. You guys ever use InkPad? That's the app I use for a lot of my notes and stuff when I'm just chilling. So everybody getting up to tonight? Everybody had dinner? It's early for some people, I guess. When you're old like me, sometimes you eat dinner a little early. But Lionheart says, didn't Mainoo just sign his contract? So Mainoo's contract is up in 2028. So I'm pretty sure he signed one recently. So Bach says fans have gassed him up too much, and his reps now believe they can get whatever wage they want. Well, again, if it's true, which I still don't quite believe, it is a bit concerning. It is, and it would be a bit frustrating if that's the way it was. I can't see it. I always wonder too, like, what do players as teammates think of these kind of situations? Like, if you sat there as a player and knew that like your teammate was maybe holding out for wages that were too high, right? And they were kind of causing a little disruption, especially considering the finances, and especially like if it meant, the manager can't plan on them, or mentally they're not there. Like as a player, would you get a little annoyed, angry, like frustrated with your teammate, or is it kind of every man for himself when it comes to like your wages and your own kind of finances? Like I always wondered about that. Like what do teammates think of this kind of stuff? We know that there was a little bit of that smoke from a little bit of shade from Bruno when Cristiano Ronaldo did his interview with Piers Morgan and then showed up to Portuguese camp, and they met for the first time in that dressing room. It didn't look like Bruno was too happy to see him, but interesting. Danny says, getting the pork chops on soon. Nice. Yeah, I just had some Thai food. I had some Szechuan chicken and vegetables with some rice. Because my wife had dental stuff, so she can only eat small, like soft things. So I just got her some fried rice from this Thai place that we like, and then I just got some Szechuan chicken. Trying to eat a little healthier, so I figured rice and chicken and vegetables probably isn't the worst thing in the world for me. So Leinart says, it's nearly bedtime here. Oh no, what time is bedtime? Danny says, are you in Netherlands or Ireland, Lionheart? You guys are, yeah, it's about 11 for anyone in the UK or whatnot. Bach says, I think modern players and reps now more than ever out of touch sometimes with regards to wages, etc. But then that was what football has become, out of control. And this is the hard part too as a club. This is kind of you have to bite the bullet a little bit as a club when you're trying to get a handle on your wage structure. Because you can look at like Spurs, right, and say, out of all the players at Spurs, how many are on more than like 200K a week? Probably like one, maybe like Son, if off the top of my head, if I can think of anyone who's, and that's because Spurs have a wage structure. Now, at the same, yes, you can save some money, and yes, it kind of, allows you to work a little bit more and kind of spread that thing. But at the same time, you're not going to be able to attract the best players, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, but it does help when you're at a certain stage in your build process as a club to get one of those, like those Cantona, those Ibrahimovic, kind of the cherry on the top, kind of that one piece that just brings that all together. Then you have to maybe break the wage structure, but then that's up to you as a club. So I get getting a handle on it. I get that you can scout a little with some actual scouting. You can make wages that you could take the wages for like one Casemiro, and you can put that on like 4 new players if you do some actual good scouting and recruitment. But they might not be players who are as good as, a prime Casemiro. And so it's one of those things you have to decide as a club how you're going to do this, and everyone's got to be rowing in the same direction. So we'll see what it is. But I do agree, Box, that it has gotten a little out of control. I think it's kind of rubber banding back a little bit to a more manageable level. But I think that now you're just with the Saudi League, and then before with the Chinese Super League, it's been harder and harder to hold on to some players. Not all players, but some. But I think the thing that worries me in the last several years is how many players run down their contracts. I think that's not great, not a good look, in my opinion. And I get it. I'm not going to begrudge anybody for taking care of themselves and whatnot. It is what it is. I think in United's case, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with a lot of that by giving big wages and signing people for crazy fees and re-upping for guys like Martial, for instance, Phil Jones. I'm not trying to dig out the players. I'm just saying the way we handled a lot of those situations was just bad. It just was. And that, again, it all comes back to the Glazers. That is why we're in the shit that we're in right now with PSR. But we all know that, right? Danny says 100% Cass's wages would buy him. Cass is on about 17, 18 mil a year just in his wages alone. So, yeah, it could go a long way. Lindelof, I think, is 120 150K. Ericsson's 100, like 125K. I don't remember what Johnny Evans is on, but like saving 270K a week between Lindelof and Eriksson is huge. Casemiro gone. That's literally over almost 700K a week between 3 players. That's insane. That's ridiculous. So it is what it is. We'll see if Ineos can. I know that's a big part of what they're trying to do is get this recruitment, get these wage structure, get this into a more manageable, kind of sustainable thing. But Liner says, yeah, Lindelof's he's getting money, man. He's getting his money big time. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's Eriksson 150K and Lindelof 125, or if it's the other way around. I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me look and see. We can do this live because this is the beauty of the internet. Where's Capology? Okay, so it's the other way around. So it's Eriksson who's on 150 and Lindelof's on 120 K a week. So I had it flipped around, but sometimes that happens when you get old, and I are old. Says get them out. Yeah. And again, I don't hold anything personal to the players. Again, it's the people in charge of these transfers who decided, yep, we'll pay you that much. Like, it's just the Antony thing is just a shit show in itself. Yeah, I had it backwards, Danny. It happens. Welcome to the transfer. Welcome to the news roundup. So moving on for some transfer news, because there wasn't a whole lot of transfer news today. It is midweek. It was pretty slow. Obviously, we're prepping for our match tomorrow, but Liner says, only the 120K. Yeah. Just the 120K. No problem. So we had a little bit of an unwelcome distraction, and that has had to do with Antony and his agent today. I have freaking dog hair on my nose. I told you guys, man, we got dogs. It's just all over the place. I'm constantly like vacuuming and like wiping furniture and stuff because this freaking dog's has hair everywhere, especially this time of year when it's getting warmer and they're shedding their winter coat. It's just everywhere. Doesn't help that it's so warm that my allergies are acting up today. So Antony and his agent, again, I didn't see any quotes from Antony himself. This is more Antony's agent, but at the end of the day, I do hold players accountable for the things that their agent says. Like Lingard's brother, when he was complaining, like Rayola when Pogba was here, I hold them accountable because these people are supposed to be representing you. And so this is what it is. You are a United player, Antony. So when your agent spouts nonsense, you are going to be held accountable and it will reflect poorly. Antony was a big money signing in Ten Hag's first summer at United, which, again, I don't blame Ten Hag for the price. I do blame him a little bit for the talent identification to an extent, because you guys know you never know how a player is going to do when you sign him. You just don't. But again, he opted for it, so managers do get put on the hook for that. He started a little bright, had a couple goals, but then his performances, his effectiveness, his form, his output, whatever you want to call it, just fell off a cliff. The guy just never looked like he could handle the league after he got found out a couple times. And we've been saying this for a couple years now. We haven't thought or said or discussed anything that Amorim didn't say. And Amorim wasn't disrespectful. I think he's just honest. But maybe there's a line that managers shouldn't cross in pressers. I don't know. Separate conversation for another day. But apparently, Amorim and maybe United all decided, Antony's done. We know Barada has like that 2-year policy with players. But they loaned him to Real Betis in January, and he's doing well. 3 goals, couple assists, and just 7 appearances in all comps. Like, he's not doing poorly. And then Amorim was recently asked, why do you think Antony is thriving at Real Betis after failing at United? And he said, he said physicality was probably the main reason. Amorim said, when you play against any team in England, the physicality is there. If you don't have physicality, you will struggle a lot. Does anyone think Antony had physicality other than the thumbnail? Is that which is about the most physicality I've seen Antony show at United? Amorim said Antony is so much better now in Spain because a lot of factors, but I can guarantee you that it's physicality. So we talked about that the other day. Nothing, again, like I said, nothing that we haven't thought, that we haven't discussed, that isn't clear to see with your eyes. Same with Jadon Sancho. Again, I'm not trying to dig out Antony. It's not an insult to say that maybe you're better suited for another league or another club, another manager, another system, whatever that is. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. We saw it with Memphis Depay as well. Wrong manager, wrong club, wrong time. I think it was too soon for him to jump from PSV to United. And you've seen that happen all over the place. Even jumping from PSV to Spurs was too much for someone like, what's his face? Who's the the young Bergvine or something. Same thing. So where it gets interesting, though, is that Antony's agent, so his name is Junior Perdoso, he has come out and responded to Amorim's comments. And he's fired back with a few of his own, albeit a little more defensive and a little more direct. Shots fired, right? This is what he had to say. He said, "We respect Ruben Amorim's opinion, but we do not agree with his point of view at all. Attributing Antony's lack of success at United to a physical factor is a superficial analysis that does not correspond to reality." So basically saying that Amorim is just living in cuckoo land, apparently. His agent continues and said, "The truth is Antony has not been given enough confidence to play his best football." I don't know why we have to give someone confidence. Of Amorim's 15 games in charge of United, he has only used Antony in 9 of them for a total of 252 minutes played, says his agent. This represents only 18 and a half of the total possible minutes. So this guy sat down, got that calculator out, and went to work. And he says, how can you judge an athlete in these conditions? I think that he might need to look back at the entire previous couple of years instead of just focusing on Amorim. But we will continue. He says it perhaps it was not his intention, but his statement devalues La Liga when Spanish football has one of the most competitive leagues in the world, with teams that constantly participate in the final stages of the Champions League and the Europa League. So now he's calling out Amorim for apparently insulting La Liga as well. So Perdoso says the reality is that Antony, since arriving at Betis, has become one of the best players in the team and in the competition itself, showing all his potential when given the right conditions to play his football. This shows that the problem was not physical, but related to the context and the way he was treated in Manchester. Many players who fail at United have success at other clubs, which raises the question of whether the problem really lies with the players. So big shots fired. Not only is he kind of digging out Amorim, accusing him of insulting La Liga and accusing him of not living in reality, basically saying that United did not treat Antony well at all. I just don't understand. And the whole thing, like when given the right conditions to play his football, so he's basically saying when Antony is basically made the focal point and the team works around him, then he can thrive. Like how many times have we heard that about players in the past? How many times have we heard the phrase, this such and such player needs this kind of profile next to him to unlock him? Like we've heard that about Pogba for years. But the last line, I mean, we talked about this a couple times, though. You know, many players who fail at United have success at other clubs, which raises the question of whether the problem really lies with the players. Now, that to me is a bigger thing because that doesn't have anything to do with Amorim. That has everything to do with United. And while we spoke the other day, and we talked about this many times, I think there's like this weird portal or gateway or whatever, that threshold when you cross into Carrington, when you cross into Old Trafford, good players, good managers turn to shit. And when they leave, they go on and get success. Ashley Young, Matteo Darmian, you know, Christian Eriksen went to Inter, won some stuff, and then came back to United. I mean, it's hard. Box says, yeah, never a dull day at United. Yeah, we try to just, we keep it interesting. Lionheart says he must have had lots of mental physicality to do that pirouette. I mean, again, he had the trick, and I understand why he does the trick. It's just it got found out quickly, and then he stopped doing it. Antony's confidence was shot the moment somebody didn't put up with that pirouette bullshit and just leveled him. So, but what do you guys think of what Antony's agent had to say? What do you think of Amorim's original comments? Do you agree with Antony's agent? You know, is he conveniently like isolating all this to just the last couple months and just forgetting the last couple years of Antony's time at United when he's been absolute dog shit? Or are you like me and you're like, this is just a bunch of drama we don't really need right now? Again, very reminiscent of Mino Raiola and Paul Pogba when they were here. Every time they were gone, it was always a circus. And this is why I don't want the drama. I don't want Pogba back. I don't want any of this drama. I'm not here for it. I can't stand it. I'm too old for this drama. Like, I feel like I'm watching some show on Peacock or something about teenagers in high school. It's so frustrating, man. I hate drama. Boxes, yeah, very selective memory from the agent. Yeah, conveniently just kind of omitting 2 years and isolating everything to 2 months. Again, context, Lionheart says, does this agent understand that Antony technically needs to go back to United in the summer? Exactly, like I said, like is he not remembering that Antony is still a United player as well? Like, maybe this is a point to try to force our hand in the summer. Maybe Antony decided, and maybe all parties have kind of decided we don't really want him here anymore. And maybe this is a way for them to subtly kind of lower the transfer value now, make it dramatic, make it difficult for us to, because he's disgruntled, he's want away. And it's funny how all these players come out and do this after they leave United already, when like they're on loan, or in Ronaldo's case, when he was on international duty. Like, it's cowardly, in my opinion. It just is. So I think that the fact that maybe he took it as an insult that we didn't even replace him, and he's like, well, fuck, they didn't even replace me. They must not want me at all. But yeah, like Lionheart's, like I said, like you're saying, he is technically a United player. It's gonna be super awkward when he comes back and Amorim's like, "What's up, bro? You was talking all that good shit a second ago. Where's that base now? I don't what gonna pull a what were you saying? All right. Yeah, yo, fuck off. That's what I would be doing if I was Amorim. I would literally go force him to play with the Rezzies and let him rot if that's what's happening. And again, this is his agent, but I do hold Antony accountable for what his agent does, the same way I did Pogba. I have to have the same energy. So, and yeah, Box agrees with you, Lionhearts. Big up, Danny. He says, I don't think people will be getting into a bidding war for Antony in the summer. His agent will think twice then. Yeah, well, again, could this be the point? Could this, we reportedly, there was that thing that came out, was it late last week, that we were trying to ask for 50 million from Betis, and they were just like, no, that's not going to happen. Honestly, if they want to give us like 25 million, take it and run, bite their hand off. It's fine. It's more about getting those wages off the book. Anthony's on like, what, 200K a week? It's ridiculous. Lionheart says the agent's a fool. Some agents, I feel like they think they mean well and they think they're doing well. But again, this is why it astonished me sometimes when players don't get a better grip on their agents. Like, the agents work for you. Like, you're their employer technically. So like, have they covered this from all angles? Have they sat down and thought about this before the agent did this? I mean, I get the agent's coming to defense of his client. I understand that, but at the same time, it seems a little misguided in my opinion. But I'm not a football agent. I think that would get frustrating, but football agents, they just, Mino Raiola was one of the most annoying. Make no disrespect to the guy, I know he's dead, but when he was doing his thing, I just could not stand Mino Raiola. We've seen agents cause problems. Adrian Rabiot's mom is his agent. She was kind of causing some problems about 8 years ago. It's calmed down a lot since. I think people are still trying to hold him to that, even though that was way back in like 2016. But we've just seen it happen before. And so I remember Raiola, that he and Ali kind of got into a little bit of back and forth a while back regarding Pogba. So Lionheart says he needs to accept that his client failed, suck it up, and shut up. Yeah, if anything, he should just focus more on what Anthony's doing well and just stop getting, like, I don't understand why people stoop to these like war. Like, maybe that's just because I'm old too. Maybe I look at this and I'm like, ooh, cool, a Twitter war. Although I did just yell at Tim Howard today, so I don't know if I have any room to speak. Tim Howard, have you guys seen some of this that he came out with? There was like some video clip going around where he's like basically like, the Glazers they put their money in, they put however billions of money in the club, so they can do whatever they want. It's their club. And I'm like, they put how much money, Tim Howard? This much money they put in. I'm like, and I think I wrote was like, tell me nothing about the Glazers ownership without telling me nothing about the Glazer ownership. And this guy played for us too, so he should know better. But like I said, the qualifications to be a pundit, whether you're commentating, whether you're doing journalism, whether you're on ESPN or Sirius or Sky or TalkSport, it's just like, did you spend a day in and around football? Cool, come join us. Like, these people don't know what they're talking about. I know it sounds petty, but this is why I call in to Sirius XM all the time, because they don't know what they're talking about. They do no research. Like I said, there are still people like Tommy Smith or Craig Burley or whatever. They still bang on about Kieran Trippier's free kick for England like 5-6 years ago. And I'm like, guys, let's move on. He's been shit since. Like, that was one moment. Like, what are we doing here? It's ridiculous, man. Danny says, yeah, he's a clown. I don't know what Tim Howard is thinking, man. Maybe he's hoping to get back on on some sort of ambassador role at United, so he's not trying to rock any boats. But I'm like, Timmy, they're not doing ambassador roles anymore, bro, so they ain't do that. Lionheart says, did he say that? Yeah, there was some video clip I saw. It was on Twitter earlier. It's just some of these guys. It's just like Bon Lahore. They sometimes I don't know because I don't know if Tim Howard just doesn't know what he's talking about or if he's just doing this like at Gabby Agbonlahor to try to just stay relevant because we know Gabby Agbonlahor doesn't actually mean all the shit that he says. He just says it because it just gets attention. Then he says just like Robbie Savage, yeah, Robbie Savage, man, that dude. The moment Amorim switches anything, Robbie Savage is gonna go get the freaking tissues and the lotion and just have a field day. Anyway, you guys let me know what you thought. It was just, again, to me, maybe it's just me. I'm just not all about the drama, man. I'm just like, just avoid it. This is why I don't like when managers get involved in this shit. The best thing you can do is just don't even care. Most, like, when I get into arguments with people, most of the time, what I do is I either stay quiet and just like let them dig themselves into a hole with just saying more stuff. That's like the worst, and maybe it's just from being a therapist, but like not speaking, leaving that kind of, we call it the pregnant pause, like that awkward silence. People naturally want to fill it. And in a debate or an argument, people are just going to fill it with increasingly more ridiculous stuff that's just going to make them look worse and worse. So that's one tactic. The other tactic, and most of the time, I just repeat what people say to me back to them so they can hear how ridiculous it sounds sometimes when I'm like, it makes me sound like arrogant. I'm not. I'm just, because I don't want to get into drama, because I really don't like doing that. This is how I avoid kind of involving myself too much. But I'm just not a big fan of the drama. But Boxes, I think Howard probably hasn't got a clue what he's talking about, and it's fine. But if you don't have a clue what you're talking about, maybe fact check it before you jump in front of a camera and start spouting absolute nonsense. Lionheart says, not speaking gives you all the power. I mean, it is. What's the old adage? Better to be silent and thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt, right? You just do what you do. You just do what you do. So, moving on, I want to talk a little bit about what some of the things Amorim had to say in his pre-match presser. I'm enjoying the conversation, you guys. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're new. Share the video too if you can. Love to get the community growing, get more people involved. I love getting the skeleton crew in here every night. It's awesome. Lionheart says, I use it all the time in the kitchen when shit hits the fan. Well, the reason shit stinks is so we can smell it before it hits the fan, Lionheart. So if we can recognize it before it gets to that point, you smell it. Amorim gave his presser ahead of the match tomorrow against Sociedad, which I'm still bumming that it's an early kickoff because I literally have my class at 12:30 until 2:30. So I'm going to be having my laptop in front of me while I watch it on TV with an earbud. So we did the preview this morning. Go check that out if you haven't yet. But we did look at this morning at the squad that traveled. Remember, we put the squad up there that traveled, which included some youngsters. So Amorim had this to say about the inclusion of one particular youngster, and that was Harry Amas. So he said, Amas is with us, and we also wanted him in the last match, but he played the whole match against Arsenal in the Youth Cup. So Amorim's saying we actually wanted him against Fulham. Obviously, Dorgu suspended. We were a little light on that side. There was a chance maybe that Amas could have gotten minutes, but because he had just played against Arsenal in their Youth Cup, which they won, by the way, big up the under-18s, they didn't include him. So he had more to say on minutes for the kids. He says, we know to bring some players in, the youngsters, is a big step, and we are taking care of their expectations right now. Again, we talked about this morning, managing those minutes and the expectations and the pressure from the youngsters, like we're talking about with Cheeto. We did that the other day. He says, when I put in the squad, I see the players that I have trained with us, and then I imagine the substitutions. That's why I sometimes call it one or two. I'm trying to see if they train with us. So he's trying to think of the match, kind of playing it out, looking at all these possible scenarios and thinking, okay, if this happens or if we do this, I might need to change this. Are some of these youngsters good options? Which is what managers do with anything. He says, then I'm trying to see if they can come here to play or be on the bench. For you guys to be seeing a lot of youth, I'm trying to manage everything. I know it's a big step for them. I'm trying to cope with everything. When I do my squad, I'm trying to think about every aspect of the formation, of the kid, of the squad, and not if it will look really well with the fans and the media. So he's not doing it just for lip service. He's not pandering, which I respect. Like I said, I love the foundation of youth. I love the youth courage success. I love everything from Jimmy Murphy, the Busby Babes, class of '92. All of it is incredible. I don't want to force it just for the sake of placating fans or fulfilling some record for having an academy product. Like I love that we do that, and I would love it if we had that much quality, but that shouldn't come first, if that makes sense. And it sounds like Amorim agrees. And so, Bach says positive words from Amorim. Amorim knows it, and he's not going to force these kids into a situation that they're not needed and not ready for, and he's not going to do it just because the media or the fans are braying for it. Leonard says, "Nobby Savage." Just noticed that one. Yeah, Danny's got the smoke, man. Danny's a savage. I'm all for it. Danny says, "I stole it from Goldbridge." We don't want to steal anything from Goldbridge. So that's regarding some of the youngsters, particularly Harry Amas, who did travel with the squad. Two players who did not make the trip, though, Maguire and Ugarte. Amorim had this to say. He says, "Nothing serious. We are cautious because we cannot afford to lose other players. We are taking care of them at Carrington. They cannot play this match because it would be a risk." So remember, we spoke this morning that they were doubts, and they, in fact, were confirmed to have not traveled. And now, like Amorim says, not serious. We know Maguire went off and was substituted by Aiden Heaven. I didn't see what happened with Ugarte. I know that he was not doing well, and then he came back, and then so maybe he's just still carrying a little bit of something. But it sounds like, again, with the injury crisis, Amorim just doesn't want to risk long-term injuries, which I totally get. It just sucks at the situation we're in. We have so many injuries that it's losing Ugarte even for one match, even if it's just one leg of a two-legged tie, is such a big miss, and it could be a difference maker. It sucks. There's no way around it. The injuries this year have just. We thought that in recent years it couldn't get bad. It's much worse, man. It's no Leach again. We're losing Ahmad, Kobbie's down, Collier's down. Like it's just they're dropping like flies, man. And it doesn't help that everyone else is just not performing. We're not scoring goals. Garnacho's running cold. Højlund's running cold. Bruno's carrying this team on his back. And it is what it is, man. It's just, and then Dorgu's suspended. It couldn't have come at a worse time, but, Box says Dorgu in for Maguire. Maz goes into back three, then Collier, Casemiro in for Ugarte. Yeah, so I don't know if Collier is going to start right away, but he did travel. Now, we did the preview this morning, so I put out kind of what I expect to see from the starting 11 based on injuries and who traveled and whatnot. So you guys can go check that out as well if you haven't yet. Rob says, "Welcome back, Rob. We are a depleted squad. We are incredibly depleted. It is bare bones. There are players who are literally, we just played 120 minutes against Fulham, and now these same players are going to turn around and play again. And then they're going to turn around and go to Arsenal and play as well. So it's freaking annoying." Amorim added to, he reiterated, that how we need to create better chances for our strikers. He said that a couple times now. I'd like to see that put into fruition on the pitch because we're not seeing it still. I saw a stat the other day. Obviously, we went through some stats from Højlund, and there's that weird random stat going around that just doesn't make sense to me as far as big chances. Like, so that's literally the first time I've ever heard the term big chances in relation to a striker creating them for themselves. It was so weird. But the Højlund is obviously not doing well. Not a whole lot of shots. Not a whole lot of opportunities. But one of the stats that people are conveniently overlooking, again listed in those graphics that came out the other day, is that Højlund is second in the league right now for runs made off the ball. Again, he is making runs. He is trying to get into space. And up until Leach's injury, Leach was actually the only one seeing the runs. No, Dalot can't make those passes from the left-hand side. Dorgu probably can. Garnacho doesn't make passes. We can't say Garnacho ignores Dorgu and then can turn around and say Garnacho always tries to find Højlund. Garnacho doesn't try to find anybody. Bruno is playing a little too deep to find Højlund now because Bruno's long balls haven't actually been great. So the problem was there's too much space in the midfield right now because we don't have defenders who can play out from the back. So Bruno is having to drop deep. We're sitting too deep in the back five. Too much space. I think that Højlund needs to drop deep. Højlund needs to sit inside his half when we're playing that way. And then we need to try to find him. If he's already in the final third, like we were doing against Fulham, we would get the ball outside of our box. Xerxes is already in the final third. There's a whole middle of the pitch that we have to try to get through. That we have to play a little deep, give yourself more space, more room to turn, and keep two players up there at all times, like Garnacho and Højlund sit up there and play off one another, run into space. But again, Højlund's second in the league for runs off the ball. We have to do better to find him. Again, like I said, he's got work to do. We talked about that in that Cheeto video. Go watch that if you haven't yet. And he's been poor in a lot of basic foundational ways. There's no way around it. He has. But we definitely don't help him with the way that we're playing, the lack of quality in the side. So we need to do better. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Let me jump on in here. Leonard says, when is Mainoo supposed to be back? I honestly don't know. I haven't seen any updates regarding his injury or anything. Amorim hasn't spoken anything about it. I haven't seen anything. So I really don't even know what's wrong with him. But if someone else does, let us know in the chat. Box says, I saw tonight Feyenoord had 15 players unavailable for the game versus Inter. Crazy. Yeah, and they looked like it too. They did not do well. Robin van Persie off to a rough start at his old club on the touchline. It's always going to be rough when you lose one of your better players in January in Jimenez, and I think that just sucks. They didn't give Van Persie a whole lot of room to work with. They've got decent players there. Feyenoord. I featured like David Hansko in my defender video, my Leacher replacement video. He could left side center back. Jurrien Timber's twin brother Quinton plays there, and he could be hit or miss. Other than that, I honestly can't name you another Feyenoord player off the top of my head right now because they keep losing them. It's unfortunate, but Box says Mainoo probably back after maybe I do. Now that you're saying that, I do remember something about him coming back after the national break. It was either him or Luke Shaw. I don't remember. It's like March. Yeah, it's like March-ish, says Box. I'm trying to remember. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Like I said, I do the videos, and then a lot of the information I forget when I'm done because it's like cramming for a test. Lionheart says, I hate international football. Welcome to the club, my friend. I can't stand international football. A friendly by any other name is still a friendly as far as I'm concerned. And all I see when international break comes around is just probability of picking up injuries. It happens all the time. I just don't like it. I want my players to always come down with the international break flu when international break comes around. We pay your wages. You need to stick around. If we're not getting enough time to train, stay here, train. Maybe we can tone down the training a little bit so we're not losing players again. But Bruno, wrap him in cotton wool, say he came down with the flu, and just let him chill. That's just the way it is. Same with Mazraoui, same with Delit, same with Yoro. Just let them all stay here. Box says some of these stats come from memes or manipulated stats, and then they're regurgitated. Some again, stats and the eye test need to work hand in hand. It doesn't need to always just be against kind of a dynamic there. And yes, stats can be misleading. I hate clean sheets as the determinant for a Golden Glove. I think that's ridiculous number to do. That's why I don't look at pass completion for like deep lying midfielders or defenders as like the stat because pass completion includes the passes to just your partners or 5 yards here and there. Look at progressive numbers. Look at all that kind of stuff. Like stats can be misleading, and it's not that the stats themselves, a number can't be like malicious, but the people who refer to the numbers are very careful with how they refer to them and when and what numbers they use at a given point in time. Internet and football and statistics and all this stuff is riddled with logical fallacies when it comes to statistics and things. So Dana B says Angel Gomez to West Ham. I saw that they were listed as one of the clubs along with us and along with Spurs that were interested in him. I don't know how he fits in the Spurs side personally. I could easily see him at us because he can play in a pivot and he can play as a 10, but it is what it is. Let's see here. Box says Premier League Physio Room has a Mainoo potential return date as 3/16. Interesting. Rob, updating us. 3 p.m. UK time. Meet at the toll gate on Sunday, 9th March. Manchester United fans protest against the Glazers. And that brings us to our final point of the night because you guys are just on it. So the 1958 have organized a protest, as Rob is pointing out, ahead of the Arsenal match this weekend. So we'll see what happens. We've seen protests kind of just, it is what it is. It's a protest, whether we've seen them outside the Meg store, we've seen them in the streets. We've also seen protests go as far as getting matches called off. You guys remember when the Super League was announced and we got the Liverpool match called off. So we'll see. Most time they don't really impact anything. It's just, it does draw a little bit of negative PR. I wish it would impact the match though, to be honest, because that would bring just a shitstorm of negative PR on the Glazers, the money they would lose, the negative publicity, like I said, for the shareholders, and it's just another thing that can be used to to beat them with. Because honestly, they violated the Premier League's owners' charter when they secretly tried to get the Super League. There's literally an item in the charter that says you can't try to start another competition, another format, and they did that. They're in violation of several different items of that charter. I don't know how they're legally allowed to still be here. Because believe it or not, the negative PR from a protest when it gets called off like that Liverpool game, that it does make a difference. When that Liverpool match was called off, the negative optics of that and just how bad it looked, it literally cost us a training ground sponsor. If you guys remember that, we were set up with a thing called My Protein, which was going to replace Aeon on the front of the training shirt, right? And that was going to be a 200 million pound deal for 10 years. So it would have been total like 20 million a year for 10 years, basically. We lost that because of the negative publicity from the Super League protests that got that Liverpool match called off. They do make a difference, these protests. So as Rob said, if you guys are in Manchester and you want to go get involved, get the scarves out, get the green and gold shirt, do what you got to do, but it can help. I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but it can make a difference. Even if someone's seat is taken by someone else, a protest or a mass walkout like mid-match, yeah, you're saying, okay, they still got their tickets. But again, the negative publicity, the optics of it are what is going to hurt, because no sponsor, no shareholder, no one's going to like the way that looks from an optics standpoint. And the press are going to milk that for months too. We got the biggest match of the English football calendar called off, and we lost 200 million because of it. That's a big deal. So big up Rob for reminding everybody. Guys are talking about some World Cup. Yikes. Box says, will you go to any games at World Cup 2026? It depends. We're trying to. So Justin and I are trying to figure out a place. Again, we know kind of the schedule-ish. I just don't know what nations are playing it at what cities on what date. So I'm going to check the schedule again and see if that's been updated. But obviously, being U.S. international, I want to go to a place where the U.S. are playing. So whether that's Atlanta or Chicago or wherever, I don't know. I don't really relish the idea of going to Atlanta in summer. Justin used to live there. He tells me how hot it is. I've spent 4 months in Louisiana in the middle of the summer. I know how crazy humid it can get when you're below sea level in the middle of the summer. It is not fun. I did get used to it though. By like 2 months in, I was wearing like jeans and stuff, so it wasn't a big deal. But we'll see. I'm trying, Box. We'll see what happens. It would be fun though to spend a couple days, get in a couple games, and hang out with some friends. And it'd be cheaper than flying all the way to Manchester. Box says, I just read they're going to do a Super Bowl style halftime show. Oh, God, no. Ugh. I don't watch the Super Bowl. I can't watch NFL anymore. Too many commercials, man. Rob says, Giggs still gets slagged off for not turning up enough. Probably did help that Bale turned up and exploded. I mean, I don't see how. I mean, Giggs is a legend as far as I'm concerned. But what he does for Wales doesn't necessarily concern me, but because I'm not Welsh, but I hear you. You repeated yourself there. It's all good. Rob says, this protest has seen the 1958 go to the United Fan channels. Yeah, I saw them on Stretford Paddock. I do have time for Stretford Paddock. I only have a certain amount of time a day, so I don't get to watch all of them. But Stretford Paddock is just so versatile, and they talk a lot about the academy. They get a lot of players on there. They get some like RH elite coaching who was working with Cheeto was on there. I have time for that kind of stuff because it's just different kind of stuff. So, and I like when you get a lot of different perspectives. Like Adam McCullough, I've got time for Adam McCullough because the dude is a straight savage. Stehausen, I got time for Steve. He's an absolute savage. And so I have nothing but time for those guys. They do a good job. And they're just nice. Like I ran into Jay and Joe at the Arndale, not this past trip, but the year prior when I was just kind of killing time. Super nice guys. Stopped and chatted for a couple minutes. So, which is cool. It's nice to see that these people are actually like cool in person as well. So, but in any case, that is going to do it from me tonight. Like I said, not a whole lot, but again, the Antony stuff, the Amorim presser, and then, as Rob says, the protest. So the protest is a big deal. It can help. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it can. Like I said, we lost 200 million in a training ground sponsor after we got that Liverpool match called off. So if you are in the area and you again, there's no pressure. You don't have to. Like, I know it can be intimidating too. There's a lot of people. You don't know what's going to happen and stuff. Maybe you don't want to get arrested, because some people did get arrested. I hear you. No pressure, but if you want to, the details are there. I'll put it back up there real quick so you guys can see that while we just wind down. So please hit that like button for me if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. We are on the road to 3K. Keep a lookout in the next few weeks. Dylan and I are going to be doing a show. We're going to be ranking post-Fergie managers at United, so that'll be a fun show as well. Still trying to hammer out a date for that. But you guys know I like to squeeze in those kind of videos in between, match weeks when we do get some time to breathe. And if you want to have a say in that kind of content, the unique content, scouting reports, if you want to even get to a point where you want to join in virtually and get involved in match reactions and whatnot, go check out the membership perks. I want to get you guys involved as well. So, but big up everybody. Big up Rob for reminding us of that protest, man. Danny, cheers. Hopefully see. I hope the Jimenez stuff. I mean, like I said, I don't know probably as much about him as you do. I'll probably look him up a little bit more tonight just to see what we're working with. But until then, match tomorrow. Probably be back Friday morning to do the match reaction to that. So hopefully we'll be back talking about at least not a loss. It's a big ask, though. I think I predicted a 1-1 draw this morning because neither team is really scoring goals. Sociedad's top scorer in their league is Kubo, and he's got 5 goals. So we'll see. But we do have a point to prove. It would be a big, massive statement for us to go away to Sociedad and get a win, and then come back to Old Trafford ahead in that tie. So hopefully we'll be talking about a win. But until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate the conversations. I'm loving just chilling and chatting with you guys and hearing all the opinions. So enjoy your night and whatever you guys are getting up to, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.